Hello and welcome back for the second time today to Liam Doesn't Know Ball. I took a little time to watch the Irish guy and watch the Manchester United Burnley highlights back again because I'm going to talk about the big six talking points after game week 3 in the Premier League going into the international break. And I needed to make my notes. And again, this is not talking about the big six, like those big six clubs. These are just the big six talking points that I took away. So let's start with Old Trafford was like the Coliseum, bloodthirsty Manchester United who needed to see a dominant win. Not a result, not a smash and grab, but show why they're the great Manchester United taking on a recently promoted squad, and the fans wanted to cheer their team to it. Now, like I said, so I watched that game while it was happening. I also, like I said, just watched the highlights. There were some real moments of brilliance. Mason Mount has had a rough time his first 2 seasons in Manchester. I think he's looked a lot better so far this season. Again, we're 3 weeks in, but he looks better. They conceded to pretty poor goals. So I don't think that the performance will subside any lingering anxieties about the season on the red half of Manchester. But they got the result. That's the big thing. Why did I lock my phone? Okay. Now, a point that I've made previously, but I just want to say it. Jack is back. Grealish is free to be himself and play his football. It's beautiful to see. Don't think he warranted a call-up for this England camp, but if he keeps playing like how he has been, 4 assists in 3 games, 4 assists in 2 starts, he'll be back in that conversation very soon. Now, let's move on to Aston Villa. I kind of talked about this, but this is going to be a lot more articulate. I'm not as sort of worked up as I was at full time or before full time of the Palace game. It's not good. No goals. 1 point. Things look stale, which makes me look silly because I made a whole video talking about how I wasn't worried about the lack of transfer business, and I did say that we were going to do business, and we have. I will, again, make another video talking about that specifically, but I really thought, the chemistry's already there. These players already know how they operate. Our preseason was good. Ollie was really good in preseason. Malen looked really good in preseason, but so I thought, we can get away with just doing some minor upgrades. Like, we obviously needed a backup goalkeeper because Robin Olsen left. We brought in Gassan and we ended up letting Bailey go to Roma. No. And things with the culture seemed not the best. Martinez and he was looking so happy to be at Villa until Crystal Palace, where he was just not in the right headspace, which not great. And there has been some talk kind of in the Villa fan base of okay, now that everyone knows who's going to be there, their futures are kind of known for the next few months, will that help some performances? Maybe. And I did see some pictures from training today. I mean, Martinez was featured. He looks focused, ready to go. So hopefully we can put all of that behind us and start keeping some clean sheets, getting some goals. I think that it's also not great for the dressing room that we lost Jacob Ramsey, one of our own, and I think the players, it's starting to set in that we didn't get Champions League. We are going to continue to lose one of our number because financial reasons. I think I saw that just the prize money just for getting in the Champions League is £50 million. The prize money for winning the Europa League is about £50 million. For someone for a club like Spurs, that is fine. They've cut so much revenue. But for a team like Aston Villa, who have already been warned by the Premier League for FFP and PSR deals, and then UEFA, where we basically agreed to turn a profit on player sales, so that's why we couldn't fully reinvest the Jacob Ramsey money. It hurts. It's hard. It's really hard. And that is a direct result of us not being able to keep the ball out of our own net at Old Trafford on the last day. We got no one to blame but ourselves. Let's see. Yeah, so I already talked about Martinez not getting the loan move he wanted. Now, he has been happy at Aston Villa, so I'm hoping that... And I mean, he's going to be here until at least January. He has to continue to play well if he wants to get a move. I don't think it's as likely in January, just because Manchester United brought in that young goalkeeper from Royal Antwerp. But maybe next summer. He's kind of shown his hand that he wants to leave. And hey, if he helps us win the Europa League, Emmy, thank you for all your years and best of luck. So that's my thoughts on the things at Villa. Tensions are maybe, things are a little tough. Tensions were a little high, but I think now the transfer window, again, going to make a video on that, is over. I think things will be better. Number 4, Nuno, sacked, which I said would probably happen. Things between him and Marinakis, dating back to the end of last season when Forest were falling down the table rapidly. They couldn't get results, and because they were in third for a very long time, and to finish in must have been 6th because, Palace got the Europa League through winning the FA Cup, which means that 6th was Europa Conference League, not Europa League. But they got Big Ange, who is a pretty darn good coach to get to have free and bring in and all of that. The only thing that is kind of working against him is the fact that, this happened very late. Nuno was sacked, Monday? Big Ange was brought in Tuesday. They play Arsenal at the Emirates. That's not an ideal first fixture, but maybe give it as a free pass. Bit of a stress test. Let's see what they do against Arsenal, who are, probably going to be pushing for the title again. But I just hope he wins something in his second season, because I want Villa to win the Europa League, obviously. Okay, let's move more to the top of the table. Some Liverpool signings haven't been impressing me. Frimpong, we haven't really seen much of him because Soboslai's been playing that right back role. Kirkez wasn't too impressive to me in the first 2 games. I thought he was much better against Arsenal. And Wirtz hasn't really impressed me all that much. And again, like I said I don't even remember what point I was talking about, but it's 3 weeks in. I'm not concerned. It's just something I noticed. I'm sure that they'll turn out to be outstanding signings, but again, it's something to note. Okay, and finally, West Ham, big result. Potter may have saved his job at Nuno's expense. The City Ground is a tough place to go. It's loud as hell. Potter was under massive pressure. There were rumors that he would have that game against Forest and then maybe again the game against Spurs. But I mean, hey, I think if Forest would have done a number on them, he would have been gone that day, or at least over the international break. They kept a clean sheet, 3 goals. That is absolutely what they needed after they bottled it at Molineux. And Jared Bowen was getting a little feisty with the fans. And I think of Bowen as a very even-tempered player. He loves playing for West Ham. But, at some point, players get frustrated. I don't blame them. for being frustrated. I mean, you can always do better with the fans, but he did apologize. And, he put in a captain's performance and they beat City. And football fans are fickle. Like I even said with Emi Martinez, like if he helps us win the Europa League, we're going to forget about him wanting to move to Manchester United. And then, yeah, big away result of Paqueta's celebration where he was throwing the phone away after it broke that he was potentially heading to Aston Villa and how he really wanted the move. That is true. John Townley of Birmingham Live, he was like, lies. That celebration was a lie. He wanted the move. And Fabrizio Romano was on, I think it's called Soccer, I think I think that's the podcast he was on. I saw Rebecca Lowe. And he said that that story breaking called the deal off. So those were my big 6 talking points from game week 3. Yeah, let me know what your big 6 talking points are, or what your big 6 talking points are up to this point in the season. Game week 4 is going to kick off in about 36 hours. Very excited. And up the Villa.